The email arrived at exactly 3:15 p.m., just as I was getting ready to leave the office for the day. I looked at the subject line, the words burning into my mind as I read. Termination notice. Effective immediately. I didn't know what to think. At first, the world around me seemed to stop, as if time itself was holding its breath. I stared at the screen, blinking, trying to process what I was seeing, but the message didn't change. My heart dropped in that moment, sinking to the pit of my stomach. Your employment with Infinity Dynamics has been terminated. Effective immediately. Your access has been revoked. Please do not return to any company property. No meetings, no explanation, no thank you. Just this cold, sterile final notice. The sender, John Parker, CEO. The same man who had personally told me 2 months ago that I was the future of the company. You're the one we need to take this company to the next level, and I trust you to make it happen. Those words echoed in my mind. Every letter, every syllable. They meant nothing now. All of it, gone in the blink of an eye. I was fired. Just like that. I sat there, the glow of my laptop casting an eerie light in the darkened office. I looked around, hoping for some kind of answer. The office was empty. The hum of the fluorescent lights was the only sound in the room. No one had warned me. No one had told me this was coming. Not a single hint. My body felt numb as I leaned back in my chair. My hands shook slightly as I reached for my phone. I scrolled through my contacts, looking for someone to talk to, but I didn't know who to reach out to. No one would understand. For the last 2 years, I had poured everything into this company. I had sacrificed weekends, holidays, and countless nights to get where I was. I had made the deal of a lifetime, securing a $200 million investment that would put Infinity Dynamics on the map. But now, it was all gone. They had fired me, without warning. Without so much as a word of gratitude. I had been erased from their story, just another casualty in a world of corporate greed. But what they didn't know was that this wasn't the end. Far from it, I had been playing a different game all along. They thought they could silence me. They thought I would take this. Quietly, they were wrong. I wasn't going to let them get away with it. Not when I knew what they had been hiding. You see, while they were celebrating their big wins and patting themselves on the back for all the money they'd made, I had been digging. I had spent weeks, months, gathering evidence of their massive fraud. I knew what they were doing, and I had the proof. Every document, every email, every transaction, I had it all. I wasn't just a cog in their machine. I had been the one making things happen. And now that they had fired me, I had nothing to lose. I took a deep breath and closed my laptop. There was no point in sitting there any longer. I had made my decision. I was going to take them down. The world needed to know the truth about Infinity Dynamics. I wasn't just going to let them sweep it all under the rug. I walked out of the office and down the hall, my footsteps echoing in the empty building. The door to the CEO's office was closed. I could almost hear the laughter and the chatter. On the other side, the sounds of people celebrating my departure. They thought they had won, but they hadn't seen what was coming. The next day, I made the call. I reached out to the journalist I knew, someone who had always been interested in the corporate world, someone who would listen. I told him everything. Every detail of the $200 million fraud I had uncovered, the fake transactions, the false accounts, the manipulation of the books. It was all there, in black and white. And I was going to make sure the world knew. By the end of the week, the story had broken. The headline read, Infinity Dynamics CEO, caught in $200 million fraud scheme. Former executive goes public with bombshell claims. It was everywhere. Social media was flooded with the news. People were shocked. They couldn't believe it. How could a company that was so well respected be involved in something like this? The fallout was immediate. The stock price plummeted. Clients started pulling their business. Investors began to ask questions. And as the story gained traction, the pressure on John Parker and his board of directors became unbearable. They tried to fight back. They tried to deny everything. But the evidence was irrefutable. The truth was out, and there was no way to take it back. As the days passed, I watched from the sidelines, knowing that I had done what I had set out to do. They had fired me, but in doing so, they had underestimated me. They had thought they could push me aside, but instead, I had used their own corruption against them. I had exposed them for who they really were, and there was no going back. But it didn't end there. As the weeks went by, the real consequences started to unfold. John Parker was forced to step down as CEO. The board members who had been complicit in the scheme were removed. And Infinity Dynamics, once a powerhouse in the tech industry, began to crumble. Their reputation, built over decades, was shattered in a matter of days. I knew what was coming next. I had made sure of it. The media was all over them. Investors were pulling out in droves. And then the lawsuits started, class actions, shareholder suits, and criminal investigations. It was chaos, but none of it mattered to me. I had gotten what I wanted. I had made sure that the truth came to light. I had destroyed their reputation, and I had done it all without lifting a finger in anger. 6 months later, I sat in a new office, overlooking the city. My phone buzzed with notifications. News outlets were still covering the fall of Infinity Dynamics. People were still talking about it. The company had gone under, its assets sold off in a fire sale. The people who had fired me were now facing the consequences of their actions. John Parker was under investigation, and the board members who had turned a blind eye to the fraud were being sued for their part in the scheme. I took a moment to reflect on everything that had happened. It wasn't about revenge. It had never been about revenge. It had been about justice, about making sure that the people who had wronged me, and so many others, were held accountable. And in the end, I had won. Not by playing their game, but by playing my own. The door to my office opened, and one of my team members walked in. They were nervous, unsure if it was the right time to speak, but I didn't have to say anything. They knew exactly why they were here. They had been with me through the whole thing. They knew that this wasn't just about a job or a company. It was about something far bigger. I leaned back in my chair, looking out at the skyline one more time. The world was different now, and I was no longer invisible. I had taken everything back without a single shout, without a single angry word. I had destroyed their reputation, and in doing so, I had built something far more powerful than they could ever understand. If you've ever been wronged, overlooked, or made to feel small, don't stay silent. Don't let them think they can erase you. You're not replaceable. You're not invisible. You're not done. And when the time comes, your silence will speak louder than any noise they can make. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt like you were pushed aside, don't stay quiet. Leave a comment, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And make sure to subscribe for more stories where the quiet ones rise. Because we're just getting started.